Street clashes erupted Monday in Baltimore just hours after the funeral of 25-year-old Freddie Gray, a black man who died from a mysterious spinal injury sustained while in police custody earlier this month. Police department officials said several officers were injured during clashes with hundreds of youths who pelted the officers with rocks, bricks, and glass bottles. Officers were using pepper spray to keep the protesters back. Capt. Kowalczyk told the Associated Press that one officer is unresponsive and others have broken bones. The clash started near the Mondawmin Mall and spread out over a wide area as a line of police officers pushed them back. According to Reuters, police called from a helicopter for protesters to disperse, but the youths ignored the order. In a series of tweets, police said they were hearing reports of groups setting fires around the area. Earlier, a photographer was shoved and kicked in the back. At one point, a police car was surrounded and destroyed by people jumping on it. As officers arrived, one person was taken into custody. The riot occurred just hours after the funeral for Gray, whose family along with pastors and city officials had pleaded for peaceful demonstrations after some arrests and injuries at protests over the weekend. Thousands of mourners gathered at a church to pay their respects to Gray, whose death became the latest incident sparking questions and protests about interactions between minorities and police in the United States. Among those attending the funeral were Reverend Jesse Jackson and Maryland Congressman Elijah Cummings, whose district includes Baltimore. White House officials said Cabinet Secretary Broderick Johnson, who heads an initiative on minority men, represented President Barack Obama's administration. Gray family attorney, Bill Murphy Jr., called on the officers involved in the incident to come forward and tell their side of the story. "It's a corrosion on justice," said Murphy in remarks at the funeral. "And we're calling for the police, the 6 of them that are at least being partially, if not totally, implicated to come forward and to tell it all just like you tell our citizens to do." Gray suffered severe spinal cord injuries following his arrest on April 12. Officials said Gray was not restrained properly while being transported in a police van. Protesters have been demanding justice in daily demonstrations that have been largely peaceful, but some incidents of vandalism and violence were reported in a march on Saturday. Meanwhile, the Baltimore Police Department reported a credible threat that some violent street gangs were planning to target police officers. Police have not clarified whether the threat was connected to the ongoing demonstrations. Speaking on CBS television Sunday, Congressman Cummings said the relationship between police and communities is the civil rights cause for this generation. He added that it is still not exactly clear why Gray was arrested and the entire situation is very upsetting. Baltimore Mayor Stephanie Rawlings Blake said Friday she wants to know why police officers apparently did not follow the policy requiring that all prisoners wear seatbelts while being transported, and why they did not call for medical assistance after Gray asked for it. The police commissioner said officers were slow to recognize that Gray, who apparently had asthma, needed medical attention. More information on the case is expected May 1, according to the Baltimore Police Department. The agency placed 6 officers who had contact with Gray on paid administrative leave. The U.S. Department of Justice is investigating whether civil rights violations occurred.